Hello. Welcome to our next chapter, that is your income from other sources. So we are doing these chapters from our summary notes DT in 50 pages. So let's start quickly. So now income from other sources is your head of income, where it is usually a miscellaneous head of income. So some of the items I have listed below, that some items taxable under IFOS are, suppose interest on securities, any interest that you get on your bonds, debentures, loans, etc. Any dividend you receive, rent on letting out of plant and machinery, any royalty, pension, salary of MP MLA. You have to remember, salary of MP MLA comes under income from other sources and not under the head of salary. Next is your interest on income tax refund, director sitting fee. These are some examples of your income from other sources. Now, very important provision comes with regards to your taxation of gifts. So, taxation of gifts first, very important point that you have to make sure you learn, you remember, is gifts received by a person due to employee employer relationship. If you share a relationship with the other person and your relationship is that of an employee employer, that is, one of you is employer and one of you is an employee, then even if such gift is received on the occasion of marriage, even if it is received on the occasion of marriage, this gift will become taxable. So they give you questions to confuse you, but you have to remember that these will be taxable. Next, very important provision, benefit, gift, or perquisites received due to business or profession. If you receive any gift, if you receive any perquisite because of a business or profession relationship, that will be taxable under PGBP. Say, for example, you are a doctor and you cured someone, and now your client wants to gift you a 50,000 rupees watch. That will come under PGBP and not under IFOS, because this gift you have received because of your profession. Third part, very important, star mark, you have to remember this, is gift received under section 56 to 10. You also have to remember this section number. So I will write here that you have to remember the section number also. I don't usually tell you to learn the section number, but this is an important section. So 56 to 10. Now what does this deal with? This deals with three types of gifts. First is if you have received gift in the terms of money. Second is if you received gift in terms of a movable property. And third is if you have received in the terms of immovable property, that is your land or building. Okay, so first we will cover money, and then also there are two cases, that is, you've either received it without consideration, that means it is for free, or you received it for inadequate consideration, that means, say for example, the asset's worth is 100 rupees but you have received it for 40 rupees, so there is an inadequate consideration of 60 rupees. Okay, so if you receive money and in money, it does not matter without consideration or inadequate consideration, because money you will receive as it is. So if you receive money and if aggregate it is more than 50,000, if the money that you've received aggregates more than 50,000 in a year, then the entire amount will be taxable. That means, sir, if I got 49,000, then nothing will be taxable. But the moment I receive 51,000, entire 51,000 will be taxable, not just 1,000, but the entire 51,000 becomes taxable. Okay, so money is the easiest part. I will just erase this. Great, so this was money. Now, next part comes your movable property. So, under movable property, I have written this key. Just remember what all things come under movable property. So, it is your SSJDP SAOBV. That is your shares and security, jewelry, drawing, painting and sculptures, archaeological collections, other work of art, bullion, virtual digital asset. Okay, so these are all your assets that come under movable property. So, if the fair market value of these movable properties, now what you have to remember is you have to calculate the SDV per property and not on an aggregate basis. So this we will cover later. So what you have to take sure over here is your fair market value. If your fair market value is more than 50,000, if your fair market value is more than 50,000, then the entire FMV will become taxable. Okay, so this is when you have received it without consideration. Say for example, you received jewelry. You received jewelry worth rupees 51,000, whose fair market value is rupees 51,000, then the entire 51,000 will become taxable. Okay, now what if you bought this jewelry? You bought this jewelry for 20,000 and this jewelry's actual fair market value is 90,000. In such a case, there is a 70,000 shortfall, that is fair market value minus C. This means the consideration that you have paid. If fair market value minus the consideration that you have paid is more than 50,000, the difference fair market value will be taxable. That is, in our case, the fair market value was 90,000 and you paid 20,000. So therefore 70,000 is this difference. This 70,000 will be taxable under EFOS. Under which section? Under 56 to 10. So this is with regards to your movable property. This was second part. And third comes your immovable property. Immovable property is your land and building. Again, two cases, that is without consideration and inadequate consideration. So if you receive this for free, if you receive this without consideration, then if SDV is greater than 50,000, you remember all of these have the same limit, that is 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, 50,000 and 50,000. Okay, so if your SDV is greater than 50,000, the entire SDV will be taxable. Now the question comes that, sir, if I got two different types of lands, if I got two lands, then do I do it aggregate or do I do it individually? So over here I've written that you have to calculate SDV per property and not on an aggregate basis. That means if this difference per property is more than 50,000, only then will it become taxable. That means, say for example, I got one land for 30,000 free and I got another land for 40,000 free. Now if you see, total it comes to 70,000, but it will not be taxable because we have to see this on a per property basis and not on an aggregate basis. So if your stamp duty value is more than 50,000, then entire amount becomes taxable. Okay, so your entire SDV will become taxable. Next part is if you bought it for inadequate consideration, again the same, that is stamp duty value minus consideration is greater than 50,000, and over here two conditions have to be satisfied. Your stamp duty value should be more than 110%. Got it? Okay, so your stamp duty value should be more than 110%. Only and only in such a case, only and only will then your difference SDV be taxable. Great. So over here you have to remember, you have to do two conditions. That is stamp duty value minus consideration is more than 50,000 and stamp duty value is more than 110% of consideration. Great. Okay. In certain cases, this will not be applicable. So these are some amendments that came during Yes Bank merger during COVID. So first is equity shares of Yes Bank received by investor under a scheme. So if you know, Yes Bank shares were picked up by SBI at 2 rupees per share. That was for inadequate consideration. So therefore, this amendment was brought specifically to remove that transaction. Equity share of public sector company received from your central government or state government. Equity share of public sector company. This was when Air India was being sold. Next is money received for self for treatment of COVID. That will not come under IFOS. Money received by family of deceased. If it is due to COVID also, then also it will not come under IFOS. It will not be taxable. But from when? When it is received from an employer. So what you have to remember, if you receive from an employer, then there is no limit. And next is any other person up to rupees 10 lakhs. Okay, now what you have to remember, over here we studied some movable property. We studied some movable property under this part, and I had specifically mentioned which properties are there. So if at any time the question says that any car has been sold, any watch has been sold, you have to remember it is not a movable property. They try to confuse you. So any car, watch or mobile received, not taxable since it is not a capital asset for a recipient. Next, 56 to 10 is applicable only if the asset received by the recipient is a capital asset for him. That means only and only if it is one of these assets specified above, only then will it be taxable. Otherwise, it does not come under the purview of IFOS. Now, why they have done this? Because as you can see, these assets are usually sold at a loss. These are personal assets. Say, for example, your car. You purchased a car for 10 lakhs and you used it for 2 years. Now when you use it after, when you sell it after 2 years, you will of course sell it for an amount less than 10 lakhs, maybe about 6-7 lakhs. So now there is a 3 or 4 lakh of loss that income tax department will have to allow you. Because they do not want to do this, they have not included these assets as capital, as under IFOS. So since it is not a capital asset, 56(2)(10) will not be applicable. Example, a jeweler buys gold for rupees 10 crore whose fair market value is 11 crore. Now there is a difference of 1 crore. This 1 crore will be PGBP. Car received as a gift is not taxable since it is not a capital asset. So you have to remember, they will try to confuse you that the fair market value of the car is, say, suppose 51,000. You have to remember, car itself is not a movable property as per the definition of 56(2)(10). Therefore nothing will be taxable. There are certain gifts that are not taxable. So you have to remember this key, that is Mr. Dhulati. Mr. Dhulati, that is received, any gifts received on these occasion or from these people will not be taxable under IFOS. So Mr. Dhulati, M for marriage, R for relative. Okay, so you have marriage, you have from relative, in contemplation of death, or from hospital, from university, from local authority, from trust, under will, or inheritance. Okay, so this is your Mr. Dhulati key. Next, another provision that you have to see. Now what do we mean when we say relative? Because over here if you see, we have mentioned if it is received from relative, it will not be taxable. That means we are talking about this part. So over here we have only defined what your relative is. So this is the SSC. Okay, this is you. Now when I say SSC and plus, this means it also includes brother, sister and their spouse. That means if you are the SSC, your sister also comes under the definition of relative. Your sister's husband also comes under the definition of relative. Okay, so wherever I have included a plus, that means your brother, sister and their spouses are also included. So SSC plus SSC's spouse also plus. So SSC in himself, of course, spouse is also considered relative. Spouse, brother, sister and their spouse are also considered relative. Your mom and dad plus their brother, sisters are also a relative. Your mom, dad's parents, so therefore it's called lineal ascendant and spouse, they are also considered relative. Your spouse's mom and dad, but what you have to remember, over here they do not have any plus. Now, there is nothing over here, so there is no plus when it comes to your spouse's mom and dad. So this was above, and your lineal descendant and spouse, that means your kids and their spouse are also considered in the definition of relative. Now coming to our next part, a closely held company. When a closely held company issues shares to resident shareholders at a premium, that means, say for example, the fair value of the share is, say, rupees 20 rupees, but the closely held company issued it for 50 rupees, so there is a 30 rupees premium. In such a case, it will be taxable to the company. It will be taxable to the company at issue price minus fair price. That means in our example, it was issued for 50 rupees and the fair market value was 20 rupees. So 30 rupees will be taxable to the company under IFOS. This is not applicable if consideration for share issue is received from a venture. Okay, next is your compensation of termination of employment. Compensation on termination of employment. That means if you are working at a company and they terminate you, they remove you and they pay you some compensation. In such a case, what happens? If it is received from the employer, it will come under salary. If it is received from the employer, it will come under salary. However, if it is received in any other case, that means if another company pays for your termination, in such a case, it will come under IFOS. Next is some deductions that are allowed under IFOS. So any family pension that you receive, family pension comes under IFOS, and the deduction allowed will be 1/3 or 15,000, whichever is lower. Next is interest on compensation or compulsory acquisition of capital asset. This, if you remember, we had also studied during capital gain. So any interest that you received on compensation, if it is due to compulsory acquisition of asset, then 50% deduction will be allowed on that interest. Next is any interest on securities. Interest on securities, this will also include your loan debentures, etc. So any reasonable commission or remuneration paid for realizing interest. In certain cases, you might have to pay some commission to extract the interest that you've earned. So any reasonable commission or remuneration paid for realizing the interest, that will be allowed. And last is income from UTI or mutual funds. Income from UTI or mutual funds, that deduction will be allowed is interest expense up to 20% of such income. What do you mean by this? Say for example, your income from UTI or mutual fund was rupees 100. Okay, this is your income. But to earn this income, you had taken a loan and you had paid rupees 35 as interest. Then in such a case, this 35, we will not allow you to deduct this entire 35 from this 100. We will limit it to 20%. Therefore, only 20 rupees will be allowed as deduction and 80 rupees will become taxable under IFOS. So it is 20% of such income or the actually interest paid, whichever is lower. And with this, we are done with this chapter, income from other sources. And I will see you in the next chapter, that is your PGBP.